know. If we knew, we would have been prepared, but we didn't know. So we got to one and then we sent the smoke. So yeah, never mind.
The need arises from better understanding how to communicate with different communities during emergencies. And so, you know, up until this research, the common approach was a sort of broad brush. Here are the messages, this is what we want you to do, and it was delivered in a generic fashion, so without you know, being tailored to specific groups or individuals.
We were listening to the ABC trying to get the reports and that, but then we just heard this roar out the back, and we just had to go. We ran.
There is an uneasy relationship between information provided and what people do. So that creates a puzzle, and the puzzle is what is actually happening in the locality, what's happening in terms of what's defined as community, how do people get together, and then what is the relationship between people, residents, people who work in localities, and the agencies.
The feedback came from communities themselves mostly, and also via inquiries and boards that looked at disasters and emergencies and said, you know, how can you better tell people what's going on, inform them, understand what they need to know.
Our research shows that many in localities are somewhat sceptical of advice that comes from remote or distant areas. We also can show that often people look to their immediate reference points within the locality for information rather than, for example, the fire agencies or the emergency agencies, which we actually may know in a more profound sense what's actually happening.
My mate has been begging me to get out of here, so we gotta have to get out. Dangerous.
The complexity and the ways in which localities organise and operate is part of the difficulty that agencies face. It's not that agencies necessarily are providing wrong information. Agencies provide correct information in terms of the understanding of the emergency or in the understanding of how we prepare. Our argument is that localities are diverse. They're diverse in all sorts of ways. They're diverse in terms of gender and gender relationships. They're diverse in terms of age. They're diverse in terms of class. Who has the capacity to act and who doesn't have the capacity to act.
I yelled out to Melinda to take her baby and threw some stuff in the car, get out, and we were grabbing what we could with clothes, and then we realised there's no keys to a truck. So I shoot down to her house, which is in town, come back through the smoke and fire so we could start this truck up and wait for me mate and followed him out.
Did you think that you might not get back out?
I had, because I couldn't see, and we had fire both sides. I thought if the tyres burned, I was going to keep driving and see what I could.
I had no idea. We had no idea that we were in so much danger.
Now we need to understand all those things in order to develop appropriate interactive strategies. What is the target? What is the audience? Who are the audiences? What is the complexity in a locality, and how, in those circumstances, can we construct an appropriate form of communication, both in the immediate sense in terms of warnings and in the long-term sense in terms of education? How can we create that situation so that there is an interactive process between us and the localities?
Understanding what makes up the community and understanding that within that community there is a range of other communities, and within those communities there's a range of other communities as well. So understanding that tiered approach is going to be really important, and this research will help us to better understand that and better develop messaging and information.